Revenge, revenge, they're chanting. Palestinians in the West Bank calling the death of Hamas's top political leader a tragedy. Ismail Haniyeh was killed in an overnight airstrike in Tehran, according to Iran's Revolutionary Guard and Hamas. Born in a refugee camp in Gaza, Haniyeh had been a key member of Hamas since its inception. He had been living in Qatar but was in Tehran for the inauguration of the new Iranian president. Hamas, backed by Iran, is blaming Israel and vowing retaliation. Hours later, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel will exact a very heavy price for any aggression against us. But he made no mention of Haniyeh and did not take direct responsibility for the attack. He did say Israel has delivered crushing blows to its enemies in recent days, including this one against a Hezbollah commander in Lebanon that also killed 2 children.
He was caught a bit unaware.
The killing of Haniyeh marks the highest-ranking death of a Hamas political official since the war began.
The biggest thing I'm looking for, 2 things. One, whether this escalates into a wider regional war. Second, what impact this will have on the negotiations for a ceasefire and hostage release.
Haniyeh had been playing a key role in those ceasefire negotiations. In Gaza, people say his death is a disaster for everyone. The negotiations are not for Hamas, says this man. It's for all the people. They made the odds of ending the war very difficult, says this man. The families of the remaining hostages taken during the October attack gathered in Jerusalem, marking 299 days since they've seen their loved ones.
Everybody in this region is, in a way, being held hostage to misguided leaders who want to take the region in a direction that is not a positive direction.
So, Kayla, there's a lot of firm language from all sides tonight.
Yes, we heard from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu warning that there will be challenging days ahead. Hamas's military wing has issued a statement saying Haniyeh's death, quote, takes the battle to new dimensions, and in Iran, a vow for revenge. All of it raising fears of what that might look like, what might happen next, Adrienne, and whether it will lead to the wider regional war so many have feared.
All right, Kayla Hounsell in London for us tonight. Now, with all of those threats, there is new concern tonight about whether a ceasefire can still be reached. Ashley Burke now on the calls for calm and why history suggests they may be ignored.
A crowd in Tehran protesting a top Hamas leader's death. This Iranian MP says the killing of Ismail Haniyeh must be avenged. Iran's promising harsh punishment as the U.S. urges restraint by all players in the Middle East.
We don't want to see an escalation.
The White House says it wasn't involved, but did say the reported attack won't help efforts to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza.
These reports over the last 48 hours certainly don't help with the temperature going down. All of this adds to the complicated nature of what we're trying to get done. And what we're trying to get done is a ceasefire deal.
Without Haniyeh, who was a key figure in Hamas's ceasefire negotiation, this expert agrees.
So Hamas has lost an important person in their team, but so have the negotiators that have been attempting to get a ceasefire deal through.
The alleged assassination adds to growing fear Iran will strike back, threatening a wider war. In April, Tehran targeted Israel in an act of retaliation for the killing of a senior Iranian commander. Now concerned that could happen again.
If Iran were to respond, as they did last time with 300 missiles and drones sent towards Israel, there's no way we can control the risk there, and we could easily find ourselves spiraling into a war.
And retaliation doesn't have to come from inside Iran's border, with proxies like the Houthis and Hezbollah among Israel's enemies in other neighboring countries.
This is a war by Iran through terrorist proxies against Israel, and it has been since October the 7th. There's no threat of a wider war here. We've been in a wider war.
Facing repeated questions about what happens next, Washington reiterated its commitment to Israel's security. The Secretary of Defense said if Israel was attacked, it certainly would help defend it. Now the focus is on how Iran and Hamas will respond. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Washington.